I'd like to welcome everyone to the Police Service's 21st Annual Award Ceremony. Will everyone please stand for the presentation of the colors, the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance, and the singing of the National Anthem by one of our own officers.
Honor guard, okay, Hutto, Horton, arm, forward, march. Counter colors, march. Present, arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Counter colors, march. Colors, post. Ready, halt. Ready, face. Post. Order, arms. Ready, face. Forward, march. Forward, march.
Thank you. Please be seated. National Police Week occurs each year in the month of May. Wednesday, May 15th, was National Law Enforcement Memorial Day. The week is devoted to saluting all law enforcement officers and to recognizing those that have lost their lives in service to their communities. Several of our officers attended the ceremonies in Washington, D.C. this year. One of the events was a 3-day, 300-mile bicycle tour. More than 2,400 riders from around the world rode from New Jersey to Washington, D.C. and raised over $1.7 million for the memorial in Washington for the family members of officers who lost their lives in the line of duty. Thank you to all of our officers who participated in this ride and the ceremonies in Washington. Please let us all bow our heads for a moment of silence for those officers who have given the ultimate sacrifice to keep their communities safe. Thank you. Before we begin, I would like to make several acknowledgments. Our Honor Guard members, Officer Mark Cutter, Officer Tessa Jacobson, Officer Shaban Youngmeyer, Officer Andy Kincaid, and Officer Kerry Willis. The national anthem was sung by Officer Chris Tibbetts. I have several members of my executive staff in attendance. Up here on stage helping me with the awards today are Captain Jim Zachmeister of the Administration Division, Captain Don Vagge, Criminal Investigations Division, Captain Corey Christensen, Information Systems Division, Captain Jerry Schauger, Patrol Division. Also have Rita Davis, the PIO and Project Manager, sitting on the front row. I'd also like to thank Lieutenant Dave Pearson from our Professional Standards Unit for helping me with the award ceremony today. You may not be aware, but the process of reviewing award nominations and the work that goes into making this ceremony possible takes 13 people, approximately 12 months, with the last 4 of those being pretty hectic. I'm proud to name the members of our awards committee who worked so hard to help put this together. Committee chairperson is Lieutenant David Pearson, Detective Kennyberg Arojo, Judy Beitler, Sharon Flynn, Monica Gavin, Officer Matt Johnson, Sergeant Jerrod Kinsman, Lonnie Mert, Officer Brian O'Malley, Sergeant Kent Robinson, Lisa Robles, Detective Jacqueline Shackley, and Bridget Weiderman. I would also like to extend a special thank you to former Police Captain Tom McClellan and CSO Angeline Allen. I think I saw Tom here someplace. There he is. For all their efforts to set up the museum displays in our lobby to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Fort Collins Police Services and to create the picture presentation that you viewed prior to this ceremony. Their dedication to collect and preserve the history of this agency does not go unnoticed. We have all enjoyed the results of their hard work. I would also like to recognize the help we are receiving today from our explorers, Christina Bartlett, Sam Brookhart, Josh King, and Troy Van Dress. 2013 is a very special year for Fort Collins Police Services. We are celebrating 100 years of service to this community. On April 14th, Mayor Wyckonet signed a proclamation making April 21st, 2013, Fort Collins Police Day. Our roots can be traced back to the late 1800s when Edwin Lakin Peterson was elected to serve as the first constable in 1873. The police department was officially formed in 1913, and our first chief was Chief Albert Baker. We have gone from a department of 6 officers and 1 chief in the first city building at 234 Walnut Street, which was constructed in 1882, to our current state-of-the-art facility on Timberline, where we now have 197 officers and 103 civilian employees. Last week, we hosted a reception in our lobby to honor our many retirees for their service to this agency and community, and to showcase the 100-year anniversary museum displays in our lobby. Several of those retirees are in our audience today. If you're a retiree, please stand up. Thank you for recognizing the many years of service to our community, and thanking you for helping all of us to celebrate this milestone in our history. I would like to now introduce City Manager Darren Atterbury.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. I was thinking about this event last evening, and every time I leave, and I've been coming to these for about 18 years, every time I leave, I have this genuine sense of appreciation and respect for the work that's done. And we're going to hear some great stories. We're going to hear see some people recognized for some amazing work, people recognized for collaborative efforts and behind the scenes kinds of work. But I want to just say here as I begin that I'm so thankful for the work that you all are doing And for those who are being recognized for your work, for your collaboration, for your heroism, the work that you're doing, on behalf of this community, thank you, thank you, thank you. As Chief Hutto mentioned, Mayor Wyckonaut is here, Councilmember Troxel, and Councilmember Overbeck. I get to be the one who gets to come up and talk to you just very briefly, and on their behalf and on behalf of this community, I want to just say thank you. This is a very big year for Fort Collins. As the Chief has mentioned, it's a 100-year celebration. When I'm asked to go and talk with different service clubs, Rotaries and Lions and Kiwanis and those groups, I have a standard PowerPoint presentation for this year alone, and I call it Momentum and Leverage. So my title sheet is Momentum and Leverage, and I think about all the stuff going on in this community and in this city organization and in this Fort Collins Police Services unit. And this is a very, very special year. And the kind of work that's going on, this is the night that we're going to celebrate Fort Collins Police Services. But your colleagues around this city organization, a couple thousand of you, of us, are doing amazing work. We have a board of directors who strongly, strongly supports the operational parts of this organization. They don't always know what we do on a 24/7, 365 day basis. They don't always get to see inside the work that you're doing. But I can tell you they deeply, deeply and genuinely appreciate the work that's going on. And I get to hang out with them on a daily basis, and I can tell you it's genuine. And so on their behalf as well, thank you very much. I want to just also say, for those of you who don't know Fort Collins Police Services very well, this chief, this executive team, this this workforce, if you don't know us very well or know them very well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. What I've found in the 18 years that I've worked with them and 9 years more intimately as a city manager, what I see is professionalism at the highest level. I've said it before at these events, I will put this police services up against any police department I've seen across the country. And I've been able to do some of this in California, in Washington, in Georgia. I get exposed to a lot of different police chiefs and police departments around the country. And I will hold this police department up against anyone in the country. And your data shows that. So for the community, you need to know that. I will also tell you that this workforce, City of Fort Collins, and especially in this case, Fort Collins Police Services, is extremely dedicated to customer service. I've done a lot of ride-alongs with a lot of people in the room, and I don't think they're about excellent customer service just because the city manager's in the car. I think they're about excellent customer service because it's part of our culture, and it's very deep, and it has a very, very strong history. And so I really appreciate that, and I can tell you, you may not hear it from this community. I know you don't hear it enough, but your commitment to customer service is phenomenal, and I'm really, really appreciative of that. I think about dedication and commitment. It's, we had my wife and I have some friends who had a very, very tragic thing happen to them in Indiana last night where they lost their son. And I was telling a colleague about this, and this colleague was telling me, imagine what our police officers on a daily basis go through. You go through those things. And the support staff that's here supporting our officers, you support that. And you have to deal with some really, really tough things that we don't, as lay people, as citizens, we don't deal with. And so for people who are watching in that don't really know this department very much, that dedication and that commitment is way above and beyond. And I really want to say thank you for that. The final thing I want to say is we're just very fortunate to have Fort Collins Police Services. And as I said, the leadership team, I love the work that they're doing. I love the fact that there's alignment throughout the entire city organization. And I just want to say thank you for your service to this community. We really appreciate the work that you all do on a 24/7, 365 day basis. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Darren. I've been the chief of police for over a year now, and each day I'm amazed how much our employees give back to their coworkers in this community in their day-to-day lives, much of it on their own personal time. Several of those officers and civilian employees will be receiving awards today for their work in the community, but I'd also like to recognize the achievement of others. Sergeant Christy Valesky received the Superhero Award for her work with Realities for Children, which benefits abused children. Officer Will Barberos was the recipient of the El Jabal Shriners Medal of Honor for his heroic and life-saving actions helping a victim of a serious accident last year. Many of our civilian employees and officers participated in the Santa Cops program. You know, it's really not fair to say participated. They drive that program. It would not exist without the time and effort that they put into it, and it's really appreciated. And that helps with fundraising and the distribution of Christmas gifts to over 2,500 children in our community. Santa Cops celebrated their 25th anniversary last year. A new program we have started this year is our Employee of the Month program. This program gives coworkers an opportunity to recognize their fellow employees on a monthly basis for their exceptional work and for building relationships within our agency and the community. Please look at the screen to my left for our first 6 employees for 2013. Administrative Assistant Krista Romero for her work as our agency representative for United Way and the annual food bank drive. For February, Dispatch Supervisor Christine Carroll for her volunteering with Santa Cops and purchasing with her own money gifts for a family who had a child fighting cancer. For March, Victim Advocate Britta Clay for her work with a victim and his family who were in a victims protection program at the state level. Her work was noted by the state's Attorney General's office. In April, Lieutenant Jim Byrne for his leadership while coordinating the visiting of the President of the United States during the presidential campaign season. In May, Dispatcher Brandy Nada for her work on our fitness team and for sharing her knowledge of fitness and nutrition with other employees. For June, Officer Jason Curtis for his work with Crossroads Safe House and the Domestic Abuse Response Team. Another group I would like to recognize are the officers and civilian employees who worked at the Red Robin Tippecop last October. Their efforts raised over $3,800 for Special Olympics. Lieutenant Jim Byrne, Officer Maureen No, Officer David Case, Sergeant Christy Valesky, Sergeant Kim Cochran, Officers Wendy and Andrew Slaughter, and Investigative Aide Randine Nelson. Please again look at the picture to my left. Wow. Dispatch Supervisor Katie Alvord, Captain Jerry Schauger, along with Pooter Fire Chief Tom DeMint and yours truly, participated in the Polar Plunge fundraiser for Special Olympics at Boulder Reservoir. Thank you for all the extra effort everybody does. Now we begin our ceremony. The first 2 awards will be given to 2 of our employees for the humanitarian work within our community. Maxine Brandt, would you please step on stage? Captain Christensen will present the first award.
Colorado has one of the highest suicides rate in this country. Suicide affects many people, and Max Brandt is all too aware of the impact as she has experienced the loss of a loved one due to a suicide in the 90s. Max tried to find answers and get support, but she realized there wasn't much help available, and she eventually came upon an organization called Alliance for Suicide Prevention. For over 20 years, she has volunteered for them. Record Supervisor Anita Daniels stated in her nomination that over the years, Max has hosted countless meetings in her home, received phone calls while on vacation or out of town from a grieving person, and counseled many individuals who were struggling with suicidal thoughts. Max has been a helpful resource to many citizens in our community, as well as members of police services. In 2012, after more than 20 years of volunteer service, Max decided to step down as a volunteer, but she's not turned away from those in need. She's continuing her education in this field and someday hopes to provide counseling pro bono for families who would not be able to afford the help that counseling provides. Max, it is with great pride that we present to you our Fort Collins Police Services Humanitarian Award. Officer Dustin Weir, would you please come forward? Captain Jerry Schauger will present the next award.
In February 2013, Officer Dustin Weir came up with an idea to sell T-shirts to benefit the families of 6 fallen Colorado peace officers that were killed in the line of duty in 2012. This is something that hits home with Dustin, as his father, a Denver police officer, was killed in the line of duty when Dustin was an infant. Dustin designed the shirt, with Jerrod Kinsman's assisting with the final design. Officer Spence Alvord nominated Dustin for this award and said in the nomination that what began as a simple email to police employees blossomed to over $20,000 in sales, with more than half of the proceeds going to the family of the 6 fallen officers. Dustin has contributed greatly to those who have lost loved ones by generously giving his own time. Officer Weir, may I present you the Humanitarian Award for your dedication and generous outpouring to your fellow police officers. Our next 2 awards will be presented to 2 citizens from our community. Richard Zebley, would you please step up to the stage? Chief?
On October 18th, 2012, Mr. Zebley stopped at a local gas station. He entered the store and saw a man behind the counter he did not recognize. The male immediately pointed a gun at Mr. Zebley and told him to get on the ground. As Mr. Zebley was complying, the male struck him in the face with a metal pipe. Mr. Zebley was bleeding badly, so he asked for something to stop the bleeding. The man shoved some papers toward Mr. Zebley, but again struck him in the head with the pipe. As stated in the nomination by Detective Brian Vogel, at this point, Mr. Zebley was not only worried about his own life, but those of the employees who normally work there. He had not seen them or heard any other noises. Mr. Zebley feared the male would continue to strike him with the pipe until he was dead. He also was fearful the male would harm the next customer who came into the store. At that point in time, Mr. Zebley made a decision to confront the robber. During the incredible fight that ensued throughout the store, Mr. Zebley disarmed the suspect and not only saved his own life, but the lives of the store owners and another customer who was about to walk into the store. Mr. Zebley, I would like to present you with our Distinguished Service Commendation for your courageous actions in the face of danger on that day. Jasmine Lindblad, would you please step up to the stage? On April 20th of this year, Jasmine was working at the Mulberry Pool as a swim instructor when she noticed a small child staring into the deep end of the pool. Staff at the pool had been trained to count to 10 to see if anything changes when they see something odd. As stated in the nomination submitted by Detective Siobhan Youngmeyer, Jasmine stopped at the count of 5 as she knew something was very wrong and immediately swam to that area of the pool. At the bottom of the deep end was a young girl curled up in the fetal position. Jasmine quickly pulled the girl out of the pool and began life-saving efforts. I'm very happy to say Jasmine's actions that day saved the life of this little girl. Jasmine, I'd like to present to you our Distinguished Service Commendation for your heroic actions on that day. Our next 2 awards are for the Police Chief's Unit Commendations. Report Specialist Michelle Ross, please step forward. I would like to ask the employees of our Record Division who are in the audience to please stand up while the award is being read.
The records, yes, all of you stand up and share with Michelle. Right? The Records Division is comprised of 14 police report specialists, 2 police services technicians, 1 warrants technician, 3 supervisors, and 1 manager. The division operates from 7 in the morning until midnight, 7 days a week. They're the central repository for all police records, and all paperwork must be processed accurately and in a timely manner. The report specialists also take approximately 20% of all police reports generated by Fort Collins Police Services. This is in addition to processing online crime reports, records checks, entering the large amount of paperwork that the officers here generate for them, and also they take non-emergency calls and provide customer service to citizens who walk in the door of police services. It's a lot of work. In the nomination, Records Supervisor Bridget Wiederman stated that 2012 was a difficult year as the Records Division was down 3 positions with 3 employees in training, and many new police officers were being hired, which added to their workload. Even though it was difficult, this team pulled together, often flexing their schedules to accommodate shift shortages, as well as to assist the trainers. All of this hard work was even more meaningful when in July of 2012, the Records Division was recognized in a law enforcement records publication as one of the top 3 records divisions in the country, citing the unit is well-trained, professional, and customer service focused in the proper production and management of police records. This is a really big deal for this group. Michelle Ross, I would like to present to you and this committed group of professionals the Police Chief's Unit Commendation. I thank you all for your service and to the agency and to the citizens.
All right, I just first wanted to thank Bridget for nominating our unit. Our unit is very behind the scenes. This is very rare that we're recognized for the stuff that we do. So I just wanted to say that I'm very proud to work in the records unit. It's unbelievable, like Corey said, the amount of work that is processed through that division. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I'm very proud to be a part of this unit.
The next unit commendation will be presented by Captain Jim Zachmeister.
Lieutenants David Haywood, Mike Trombley, Sergeants Jeremy Johnson, or Lieutenant Jeremy Johnson, and Sergeants Jerrod Kidman and Jackie Pearson, would you all please step onto the stage? And if you are a field training officer and you are in the audience, please stand up while I read this award. Ever since the community approved to increase the sales tax in 2010 under the Keep Fort Collins Great initiative, hiring and training of new police personnel has been the agency's top priority. Our field training officers have successfully trained and graduated over 40 new police officers and 2 community service officers in that time. The team at that time was comprised of 45 field training officers led by Lieutenant Dave Haywood, Lieutenant Jeremy Yonts, Sergeant Jackie Pearson, and Sergeant Jerrod Kinsman. Every member of the FTO program worked extremely long hours during difficult times with the final reward of watching that officer that they trained become successful members of this agency. Their passion and mission for training continues to this day, ensuring that Fort Collins Police will live up to the expectations of the community for the future. I personally nominated this team for this award because of this monumental task that they achieve. And I'm pleased to present to Lieutenant Mike Trombley, the current FTO coordinator, and these dedicated members of this program with the Police Chief's Unit Commendation for providing this agency with the best trained officers this community so greatly deserves.
FTO, since you're still standing, although the 5 of us are up here to accept this award on your behalf, I would ask that we all offer another round of applause to the FTOs, because this is the group here that does the work that makes this program work. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Officer Haugo, would you please step up to the stage? And Jerry?
Officer Haugo started with our agency in January 2003, has been a member of our SWAT team for 7 years, becoming a sniper team leader in 2008. This past year, Officer Haugo pushed the sniper team to another level of proficiency. In order to accomplish this, GAR developed, organized, and trained an advanced sniper school for our officers and other sniper teams from northern Colorado. GAR also saw the need to resolve the problem of our aging weapons system. By organizing an equipment trade for old rifles, he successfully improved the operational capabilities of the team. As stated in the nomination by Sergeant Dan Murphy, GAR's outstanding efforts, team spirit, and dedicated police work shows his commitment to the SWAT team, this agency, and the community. Officer Haugo, I would like to present you the Police Chief's Commendation for your outstanding service and dedication to improving the competency of the Fort Collins SWAT Sniper Team. Would Bob Brown, Chief Deputy District Attorney Andy Lewis, and Deputy District Attorney Chris Rossi please step up to the stage? The next award will be presented by Captain Don Vagge.
In 2010, Detective Bob Brown was assigned an extremely complicated financial crimes investigation, commonly known as a Ponzi scheme. Both the FBI and the Colorado Attorney General's Office had previously declined to investigate or prosecute this case. The Larimer County District Attorney's Office appointed Chief Deputy DA Andy Lewis and Deputy DA Chris Rossi, who both specialize in financial crimes prosecutions, to help Detective Brown with the investigation. The case began in 2008 when the victim discovered his partner in a construction and real estate business had defrauded him along with many other victims. This partner had forged and falsified legal documents and went to great lengths to deceive the victim and other investors out of millions of dollars. Detective Brown and DAs Lewis and Rossi agreed to approach this case unlike others due to the complexity of the fraud elements. The decision was made to take the case to the Larimer County Grand Jury. Detective Brown meticulously conducted forensic accounting of the suspect's financial records, which meant reviewing over 7,000 pages of financial documents. On June 20th, 2012, the jury convicted the defendant on all counts after deliberating for less than 2 hours. The nomination submitted by Sergeant Don Whitson states that after the trial, the jury described how impressed they were with the professionalism, expertise, tenacity they saw in the courtroom from DAs Lewis and Rossi and Detective Brown. These three individuals went above and beyond their duties, employing innovation and perseverance to bring a predatory criminal to justice. Gentlemen, I would like to present to each of you the Police Chief's Commendation for your dedication and efforts to solve this case and to bring closure for the victims. I told them that lawyers always have to say something, but they're sure they talked enough. So, Lieutenant Craig Horton, would you please step forward? For many years, our executive staff has recognized the need to update our policy manual. In 2011, a decision was made to purchase the Lexipol policy system for our agency. While this system came with templates for policies that included both federal and state laws, it still required individuals to convert those templates into usable policies that would meet the needs and standards of our agency. Each policy had to be drafted and then approved by Human Resources, the City Attorney's Office, and our police executive staff. The project was assigned to Lieutenant Horton while he was on modified duty recovering from an injury. Is it okay if I tell him he fell out of a tree? He fell out of a tree. We're kind of hoping he does that more often as well. Craig became very interested in the overall success of the project and even continued to manage the program when he returned to regular full duty. His efforts produced a manual that is over 550 pages long and includes over 150 policies that provide the framework for us to perform our law enforcement mission. Craig has continued to update the policy manual every 6 months, ensuring that our policies remain current. I nominated Lieutenant Horton for this award, and I am pleased to present to him the Commitment to Excellence Award for his initiative and efforts to complete this project on time with a final publication date that was almost a year from now, July 15th, 2012. Would Officer Shane Hasebroock please come up? Jerrod?
Officer Hasebroock has been our DUI enforcement officer for 3 years. Over the last several months, he has worked tirelessly on 2 projects. The first was working with the Colorado Department of Health to bring a new intoxilizer system online. This system is used to detect the amount of alcohol in a driver's body, and it is critical in our ability to gather accurate evidence and prosecute drunk drivers. As stated in the nomination by Lieutenant Mike Trombley, the project was riddled with issues at the state level. Shane approached each problem with a "we'll make it work" attitude. By being a steering committee member trainer, and coordinator, he was able to successfully transition our agency into this new system. As he was working on the Intoxilizer project, he also took the initiative to work with the District Attorney's Office to develop an updated countywide training program that greatly increased the detections, documentation, and successful prosecution of DUI cases. Officer Hasebroock, may I present to you our Commitment to Excellence Award for your efforts and commitment to these programs. Officers Al Brown and Jerrod Hardy, would you please step forward? Jim.
In October, Officers Brown and Hardy conducted a field training certification course here at Fort Collins Police Services. Traditionally, we've gone outside the organization. Officer Brown originally designed the course, and Officer Hardy helped to develop it to the level that it is today. It consists of 3 days of training on adult learning and leadership. In a nomination, Lieutenant Jeremy Yount stated that the entire course is designed to inspire employees and trainers, not just simply teach them. 2 of the class participants, who had over 20 years of field training experience, stated that it was the best class that they ever attended. Officer Brown and Hardy, may I present to each of you the Commitment to Excellence Award for your energetic enthusiasm and passion to provide excellent training to the members of our agency. Detective Keith Maynard and Jacqueline Shackley, please step on the stage. Detective Jason Shutters was unable to attend the ceremony today. Don?
As computers and cell phones have become prevalent in our day-to-day lives, they are also being used very frequently for criminal activity. Several years ago, these 2 detectives, along with Detective Shutters, saw a need to make the community more aware about the potential dangers associated with internet technology. They felt people needed to be made more aware of the ability of potential predators to contact and foster anonymous relationships with unsuspecting children. In 2007, these detectives developed a program that combined their experiences and knowledge as detectives with a curriculum developed by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The program was offered to the public for 1 night per month. It was also taught in schools and individual community groups. As stated in the nomination submitted by Sergeant Christy Valesky, in 2007, 30 people attended this program. In 2012, that number reached over 2,800. No other police department in the state of Colorado offers such a program. Detectives, I would like to present to you the Commitment to Excellence Award for having the foresight, dedication, and commitment to provide a program to keep our kids and our community safe. Detective Tammy Tracy, please step forward. From 2008 to 2012, Detective Tammy Tracy served as a board member for the Larimer County Child Advocacy Center. The CAC is a nonprofit organization which provides support and services to victims of child abuse and their non-offending family members in a safe, compassionate, and respectful way. Law enforcement and the Department of Human Services utilize the CAC regularly to aid in the criminal and civil protection investigations. In 2012, the CAC began a difficult transition by removing the former director and bringing on new leadership. Detective Tracy was viewed as a leader on the CAC board, and many looked to her for guidance during this difficult time. She spent countless hours ensuring the new director had both resources and the guidance to be successful. Because of Detective Tracy's dedication, exemplary leadership, and compassion for the children of Larimer County, the CAC was able to weather this transitional storm and come out of it stronger and more stable than ever. Detective Tessa Jacobson nominated Detective Tracy for this award due to her dedication to the protection of victimized children living in northern Colorado. Detective Tracy, I am proud to award you the Commitment to Excellence Award for helping to protect this vulnerable segment of our population. Dispatcher Supervisor Amy Huff, please come forward. Corey.
On May 28, 2013, Fort Collins 911 Dispatch Supervisor Amy Huff received a call from a citizen whose husband was having chest pains. After obtaining the initial information, Amy was advising the caller to get her husband into a more comfortable position when he collapsed and stopped breathing. Amy immediately began providing CPR instructions to the caller and in a calm and reassuring manner. As stated by the nominator, Communications Manager Carol Workman, Amy did an exceptional job of keeping the caller focused during this difficult time until medical assistance arrived. Due to her outstanding performance and that of the caller, the victim survived. This call was actually found through a quality assurance system by the Fort Collins 911 EMS coordinator. This is an excellent example of the center's emergency medical dispatch program working well, and Amy was a critical key in this incident. Amy, I would like to present to you our Commitment to Excellence Award for your exemplary performance on that day and for helping a woman to save the life of her spouse. Would Officer Alan Heaton please come forward? Chief?
On February 16th, 2013, Officer Alan Heaton was dispatched to assist medical units responding to the report of a male not breathing. Officer Heaton arrived several minutes before the fire department and ambulance. The male had already been down for several minutes, had no pulse, and was not breathing. Officer Heaton immediately began CPR and continued to assist with CPR even after the fire units arrived. Officer Heaton's actions undoubtedly saved this man's life. If he had not responded so quickly and started CPR, the male almost certainly would not have survived. Officer Will Barberos stated in the nomination, Officer Heaton's actions were courageous and honorable, and his quick thinking proved to be the life-saving otherwise difference for the male. Officer Heaton's actions are a shining example of heroism, and he is deserving of the Medal of Merit. Officer Heaton, I'm very proud to present to you this Medal of Merit for your heroic actions on that day.
Thanks, Will. I don't want to make light of the situation, but you have to beat Will Barberos to a scene to perform a medical procedure at all. So he's generally there first. I would like to mention that the gentleman's name was Carmen Licks. He was 73 years old. Unfortunately, he had a heart condition and did not survive much longer than 24 hours. I hope that I could give his family some respite and give them the chance to be able to say goodbye by keeping him alive just for a little bit longer. Medical did work on him valiantly, though, at the scene once I turned CP over to them. So thank you very much.
Mike Crosland, please come forward. On November 25th, 2011, Fort Collins police were dispatched to Remington Street in Fort Collins for a disturbance involving two males with knives, and that one of the males had collapsed and appeared to have been stabbed. Shortly thereafter, dispatch aired another call of a male at Laurel and College who appeared to be loading a gun and had blood on his chest and pants. When Officer Mike Crosland and two other officers arrived on scene, they observed a male suspect sitting in the doorway of a business. As the officers approached the individual, Officer Crosland gave commands to the suspect to show officers his hands. As the suspect started to come to his knees from a seated position, Officer Crosland could see a handgun in the suspect's waistband and yelled "gun" to alert the other officers. He then told the suspect to not touch the gun. The suspect did not comply and was pepper sprayed. The male then grabbed the gun in his waistband, and Officer Crosland fired one shot, hitting the suspect before he could shoot at the officers. Stated in the nomination submitted by Lieutenant Craig Horton, it was later determined the gun was a replica Colt 1911 airsoft pistol in his waistband, which would have been impossible for the officers to determine was a toy. Officer Mike Crosland, I am honored to present to you the Distinguished Service Medal for attempting to save the lives of other officers who were in danger of death or serious bodily injury.
Just a quick acknowledgement for Lieutenant Reed and Officer Kennyberg Araujo, who are standing right next to me for the whole incident, and it's good to have them next to you. Thanks.
James and Jonathan Heblin, Shane Hasebroock, Will Barbaros, please step onto the stage. On August 18th, 2012, dispatch received a call of a motor vehicle accident at Prospect and County Road 5. Just prior to police arriving, Jonathan and James Heblin had heard the crash, which was close to their home, and noticed a brush fire. The Heblins heard someone screaming and immediately ran to the crash site with a fire extinguisher. They attempted to put out the fire and render aid to the victim. Officer Will Barbaros then arrived on scene and saw the Heblins trying to help the victim. Officer Barbaros also attempted to extinguish the flames, but he noticed a power line lying under the victim, sparking and reigniting the fire. The victim was screaming as the fire continued to grow. Officer Barbaros knew he had to act fast, so he and James Heblin tried again to pull the victim from the burning wreckage. At that time, Officer Shane Hasebroock arrived on scene. Officer Hasebroock worked to extinguish the fire while assisting Officer Barbaros to pull the victim to a safe location. Both officers immediately rendered medical attention to the seriously injured victim until medical personnel arrived. Sadly, the victim did not survive. The nominator, Sergeant Doug Smith, stated that the actions of Officer Barbaros, Officer Hasebroock, and citizens James and Jonathan Heblin were heroic during this incident as they desperately tried to save the life of this victim while putting themselves in harm's way. James and Jonathan Heblin, I would like to present to each of you the Distinguished Service Commendation for your heroic actions and willingness to help save another person's life. Officer Shane Hasebroock, may I present to you the Distinguished Service Medal for your heroic efforts to save another person who is in danger of death or serious bodily injury. Officer Will Barbaros, I'm proud to present to you this agency's Medal of Valor for knowingly placing yourself at significant risk while trying to save the life of another person.
Well, thank you all for being here. Thank you to Sergeant Smith for nominating me for this award. Special thanks to Shane for being there with me the whole time and for sticking by my side. More than anything, I'd just like to recognize John and James. They were woke up in the middle of the night by a loud accident. They saw a fire, they saw a crash, they heard somebody yelling for help. They weren't being paid to go out there, and nobody told them that they needed to be there. It wasn't their duty to go out there. They did it because somebody needed help and because it was the right thing to do. We're extremely lucky to have you guys as citizens in this community. I just want to say thank you again to them.
Congratulations to all of our award recipients. Your actions that led you to receive these awards mirror the values of this agency and its members. To the members of the audience, thank you for attending the celebration of some very exceptional people. I'm proud of each and every one of them, and I thank them for their service to the community of Fort Collins. Thank you.